Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today. It is Tuesday, April 14th. We're broadcasting live on Rumble. We're live on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV. We're live on Substack. Great to see all of you on the Substack live stream. Of course, we're live on Facebook and I don't know, a bunch of other platforms as well. If you listen to the SJ Show, of course, we are broadcasting on every major podcast platform. It is great to be with all of you today. I see you all on the Rumble live chat. Futurez is with us. Very first chatter of the day, CM 1968, great to see you. Jaberge, great to see you on the live chat. Haven't seen you before. Futurez is with us. Ollie Robin 9, Honor Seeker, great to see you. Hopefully all of you can hear me. I know that some of you were talking about the sound in the placeholder video as we were warming up, and hopefully you can hear me today. Big thank you to Inez Andy Cyrus, who is producing the Shannon Joy Show today. We have a lot to talk about on the SJ Show. So sorry that I didn't have a show yesterday. Normally Monday through Thursday live at 12 p.m. Eastern time. We set up, usually don't start till about 12:15. And yesterday we were stuck in Tennessee. I was traveling with my daughter Mimi. She's going to be playing Division I beach volleyball at Austin Peay University, and she had her official visit. So we were just outside of Nashville, and our flight got canceled. We got bumped off. Well, it didn't get canceled. We got bumped off. We were the unlucky 30, part of the unlucky 30 that waited around all day at the airport on Sunday, only to find out at the very last minute that we weren't getting on the plane. So we had to take another night in Nashville, Tennessee. We stayed right on Broadway and were able to see some of the sights. It was absolutely wonderful. Wasn't great that we couldn't come home on Sunday, but we made it home safe and sound, and I got to spend a little extra time with my daughter who's graduating, and I'm never, ever going to complain about that. How are you all doing today? You see the headline of today's show, America revolts against the UNIPARTY ruling class. We're going to be welcoming Larry Sharpe on the SJ Show today in just about 40 minutes. He's running for governor in the great state of New York, my home state. And I was thrilled to see, as I was show prepping yesterday, across social media in so many different areas, Americans are mad as hell, and they're just not taking it anymore. And that is a great thing. We are witnessing the market, the free market, the people, we the people, begin to rise up and revolt against so many of the false mainstream narratives that we have been seeing coming out of the left and right-wing news media over the past 20, 25 years. So many lies and mistruths, division upon division. And I think people are beginning to wake up. And there are some clues out there. And there's a lot of good news about we the people and what is happening within the market in the United States of America, from data centers to the COVID shots, rigged elections, endless wars, economic instability, and the result in revolving psyops. We're just not buying it. I'm talking to more and more normies, people who don't pay attention to politics. They might be registered Democrat or Republican, but frankly, they hate both parties. They see both political parties as being completely corrupted. And we're in this endless cycle of meet the new boss, same as the old boss, where they condemn each other in endless election and electoral cycles, but then do the exact same things as the previous parties. And so I think what we're seeing, as you guys know, I'm a marketer at heart. For 14 years before I launched the Shannon Joy Show, I worked in advertising and marketing, radio, television, billboard, back of the house with big corporations and small mom and pops. I did copywriting and planned promotions, ran commercial campaigns, helped produce commercials, all of the things. And I'm picking up on something as a marketer. I'm picking up on a vibe that I'm seeing across the country in a million different areas. And I have lots of examples for you today that we're going to go over before we bring Larry Sharp into the Joy Virtual Studio at 1 p.m. at Eastern Time. At that time, by the way, we're going to make an announcement. He's going to make an announcement. You guys might have an idea of what we are going to announce, but we're going to have a very candid discussion about the reality of corruption within the two political parties. And there is no state in the nation more corrupt than New York State. Now, we've been dealing with the UNIPARTY, the fake political battle, fake Republicans, fake Democrats working together, and a power sharing arrangement in New York State for the past 35 years. Is it finally time? Are people finally waking up enough to maybe go for something new? Well, that's what Larry's trying to do. He's dumping both political parties and running as an independent. And I think people just might be ready for that. And he has a lot of information on that we will be discussing. But the bottom line and the theme of today's show, Americans are fed up. They're increasingly rejecting the narratives presented to them by left and right-wing media, and also the Democrat and Republican Party. And today we're going to look at examples of this as peaceful revolt erupts across the country. And I think it is great news. But first, I do want to say hello to all of you and see how you are doing. If you're watching on Substack or Twitter or Facebook, please go ahead and pop your comment or your question or just say hello into the live chat. Annie is keeping an eye on the live chat today. And I see you on YouTube as well. It's DFN Liberty. Great to see you. Sharp Joy for New York, a new New York. I like that, DFN for Liberty. We'll be talking about that in just about a half an hour. I see you, Mama C 1996 on the live chat on Rumble. And again, if you're watching on any of these platforms, it helps us grow the SJ show organically when you give us a thumbs up or a comment or you engage with me on the live chat. It helps to grow the show, and I appreciate seeing and hearing from all of you. I see you, Honor Seeker. Mrs. Lovely has this to say: California is right up there on corruption with New York. I do not disagree. And I assure all of you watching from across the country, even if you're in a red state, the corruption in New York State and California will be exported to you if you don't wake up to this two-party fraud. And we're seeing this very clearly, actually, in the state of New York. As Austin goes blue, they are taking all of the rejects, all of the liberals from California, moving down to Austin, Texas, and other central points in the state of Texas. And this is why Texas is going purple. It's probably also why Texas is one of the largest states that is adopting these massive, massive data centers. 136 projects in the works in the state of Texas. And they are number one in the country. The next closest is the state of Virginia, and they have under 100 in the works. And that's one of the areas where we're seeing some of the greatest level of pushback. The good people of the United States of America are rejecting artificial intelligence. They're rejecting the data centers, and they are rejecting the doom and gloom of the new technocracy, the propaganda coming from people like Elon Musk. And I have a bunch of stories here, a great piece from Zero Hedge. One half of data centers are now slated to either be delayed or canceled on this massive piece that is linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy show. People are rejecting the data centers, and they're going bananas at those board meetings. Let me tell you, I have some video. People are running the data center executives out of board meetings, heckling them, chasing them down, following them into the parking lots. We have video of that we'll play for you in just a minute. We have a Quinnipiac poll on artificial intelligence. Bottom line, the American people hate AI. They don't just distrust it or not like it a little, they hate it. They don't want it, they're seeing through it. We don't want the robots. We don't want the drone technology and the surveillance. We don't want Palantir scooping up all of our information and, downloading our tax information. We don't want the surveillance state, and we don't want AI taking our jobs. The American people are beginning to realize that, yeah, we can have technology. We can have advances in technology, and we as humans can pick the things that we like and discard the things that we don't. And everything that's been pimped by Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Howard Lutnick, and the tech bros who have purchased Donald Trump's presidency, everything that they've been pimping, the American people are rejecting. I have 3 stories here in the SJ show notes that we will look at as well. The American people are also rejecting the COVID shots. We know that uptake is now under 10%. 90% of the American people are refusing to take the COVID shots because the American people understand that they are poison. In addition, we have cancellations. Pfizer is canceling clinical trials. They are shutting down plants that produce COVID shots. And we have other stories in the hopper about people absolutely rejecting these shots. And this is finally penetrating into the mainstream. It has taken 6 years. As you know, one of the immutable laws of the UNIPARTY, Democrats and Republicans, mainstream, is thou shalt not talk about vaccine injury or pharmaceutical liability protection or COVID vaccine injury and death. They just won't do it. Poor Ron Johnson has been out there all alone. He is like the lone senator. We have Tom Massey might discuss it, Marjorie Taylor Greene in the House, but the vast majority of right-wing politicians, especially, including the President of the United States of America, will not discuss the millions of Americans who were poisoned, who are either dead or injured because they took the poison shots. The shots that were rolled out by Donald Trump via Operation Warp Speed and then forced on the American population via Joe Biden through coercive measures, propaganda, and censorship. It was awful. And so despite putting Bobby Kennedy Jr. in office, despite electing Donald Trump, thinking that he was going to address some of these issues, we've seen absolutely nothing until just a few days ago. And it started with a tweet that went viral, 50 million views on this tweet from Peter Sweden. And we're going to get into this first, because we are now finally, not because of Bobby Kennedy Jr., not because of Bob Malone, not because of Maha, not because of the election of Donald Trump, but because of the market. We, the people who refuse to let go of this issue, who continue to demand that our politicians address it. Finally, Mike Lee, with stunning tweets, indicating that he is now finally, we dragged him kicking and screaming, but he now is finally ready to acknowledge the massive elephant in the room, that mass poisoning has occurred in this country via injection. And we're going to look at his tweet in a moment, but it started with this viral tweet from Peter Sweden, someone I have been following on Twitter for quite some time. His handle is at Peter Sweden 7, and I believe I did link this into the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. He's following a case in Germany where we're beginning to see some pretty stunning testimonies. One of those testimonies featured a former Pfizer executive and insider. And this is what Peter tweeted out just a couple days ago. This should be headline news everywhere. A Pfizer insider who was the former head of toxicology in Europe has just come out and testified under oath, something that many conspiracy theorists had already suspected. And conspiracy theorists, of course, is in quotation marks. He now estimates that 20,000 to 60,000 people in Germany have died, not from COVID, but because of the COVID shot. Now, this was said on the record under oath at a parliamentary inquiry commission in Germany. Unbelievable testimony. And that tweet that he sent out went viral. The last time I checked, it was at 50 million views. It's probably closer to 75 million now. And because of this, this gets pushed out. Then we see Elon Musk retweets Peter Sweden's tweet. And Elon tweets this: the vaccine dosage was obviously too high and done too many times. He said, I had the original Wuhan virus before there was any vaccine, and it was much like any other cold or flu. Bad, but not terrible. But my second vaccine shot, he tweeted, almost sent me to the hospital, felt like I was dying. Now, this is a limited hangout, and there are giant whoppers in this tweet that were pointed out by Aaron Siri, and we'll get to that in a moment. But this guy was forced to acknowledge this. Once you see this type of messaging become viral, those who are gatekeepers, who are controlling the algorithms, controlling the narratives, then become forced to acknowledge it. And so Elon Musk, of course, cannot tell the whole truth, but he had to acknowledge what everyone is realizing. The regular people are realizing. The market is realizing. That we know, everyone knows that these shots are killing people, that these shots have killed people, and that there are millions of people who are horribly injured. And so he now has to, in order to gain control of the narrative, he has to accept this truth. That's a win. But it gets better. Based on Elon Musk's tweet, Mike Lee tweets out, and I don't know if he retweeted Elon Musk, and this is how it works. This is how you reach tipping point. This is how the market, through organization and a refusal to back down and a refusal to choose sides when it comes to Democrats or Republicans, when the market pushes back and says, no, you're not going to move on from this, you're not going to control the news cycle, and you're not going to control the narrative, we're going to continue to press. We can force these people to acknowledge truths. Now, Mike Lee has been largely useless for the past 10 years. Which is why you never hear about him from me here on the SJ Show. He's completely bought into the Republican Party narratives. He was all too happy to shut down during COVID. He continues to support the president that rolled out Operation Warp Speed in the shots, and it's just been largely, as I mentioned, useless. But again, once the market and the narrative is out of their control, once they are faced, and what are they getting? Calls from their constituents? Letters from their constituents, maybe emails. If they're seeing this on social media and people are hammering them, then they have to acknowledge it. And this is what he tweeted out. Countless Americans were forced. This is Mike Lee. Countless Americans were forced to get the COVID vaccine, in many cases under threat of getting fired. How many Americans died from it? How many are suffering from debilitating consequences from it to this day? It should have been voluntary. For many, it was not. And then he tweeted out a secondary tweet. Were you harmed by the COVID vaccine? This is huge. And I know these guys aren't doing this because they're good people. Mike Lee isn't doing this because he's a good person. He's doing this because he's being forced to. He has to do it because we have continued to push back. This is huge. As a marketer, I'm telling you. And listen, this is what I'm seeing with artificial intelligence. This is what I'm seeing with the pushback on data centers. This is what I'm seeing in terms of pushback on the two-party political narrative, the lie that Democrats and Republicans are actually battling one another, when in actuality, they are working together in a power-sharing arrangement, and they are fleecing the American people. And they continue to divide us, and that allows them to continue to consolidate power and become more and more corrupted, right? Americans are pushing back on this. We're seeing, even on pervy politicians, Americans who are pissed off by what is going on with the Epstein files and the continuation of suppression regarding the release of the Epstein files from Democrats and Republicans. Believe me, Joe Biden could have released the Epstein files, and he didn't do it. Democrats are now using this to bludgeon Donald Trump as he refuses to release the Epstein files. But both parties, when left to their own devices and are not experiencing pushback from their constituency groups, will continue to suppress. They can't do it anymore because the American people are saying no. And that brings me to pervy politicians. You see the headlines on this one. Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez, one Democrat and one Republican, are now resigning from Congress amid sexual misconduct accusations. Swalwell is a Democrat. He's out of the state of California. Gonzalez is a Republican. I don't know where he is out of. But they are being publicly accused now of misconduct by many women. And because of pushback from their own constituents, their own people, former supporters, former staffers, and eventually their own parties, they're resigning. And this happened fast. And these guys are dirt bags. Representative Tony Gonzalez allegedly badgered a separate ex-staffer for nude photos in 2020, messaging her, "I won't stop till I get it." Disgusting. Eric Swalwell, Democrat, accused of sexual assault by at least 4 women. And what I love about this story, and this is from People magazine, but what I love about this story is that the pressure is being equally applied on both parties from their own ranks. This is a big deal. This is coming out of the disgust that so many Americans have for the cover-up of the child rapists and the child predators that were featured in the Epstein files, where there has been no justice. But we're beginning to see signs of life from the American people. We're beginning to see them breaking out of that two-party political paradigm. And it's beautiful to watch. And we're going to continue to see repercussions from these Epstein files. I think we are going to get to the bottom of a lot of things. I'm optimistic about that because of what I'm seeing the market do. Now, back to the COVID backlash. This is the COVID shot backlash. Like, this is extraordinary. We've been able to get politicians from the Republican camp to acknowledge basically false paradigms, right? Rand Paul will talk about the Wuhan virus and the Wuhan labs and gain of function. And Elon Musk, we even saw in Elon Musk's tweet, right? It was a limited hangout and it was full of a couple whoppers. First of all, he says the vaccine dosage was obviously too high. From my perspective, according to the research that I've seen and the experts that I've spoken to, it has nothing to do with vaccine dosage. It has to do with the vaccine, the mRNA, the spike protein, the liquid or the lipid nanoparticles. It has nothing to do with a dosage that's too high. So that was a big fat lie. And it was done too many times. So one too many shots. That's untrue. We have plenty of evidence and many case studies regarding individuals who took a COVID shot and died literally 45 minutes to an hour later, first shot. So that's totally false. And I'm sure he knows it or he doesn't know it. Maybe he's just repeating the talking points that he's given. He then goes to say the original Wuhan virus. We know now that it was not that COVID-19, there's no proof that it was, out of the Wuhan lab and it was a Wuhan virus. Many people are asserting that COVID-19 was really just another strain of the common cold. And it wasn't anything novel. And it wasn't anything that was created in a lab or via gain of function research. That the majority of people who were injured and died were killed via hospital protocol. Don't take anything. Don't do anything. Sit in your home, masked up and isolated until you can't breathe. Then go to the hospital and we'll put you on remdesivir, a ventilator, and until you die, right? It was the protocols that were killing people in the early days. And then once the vaccine was rolled out, the shots were rolled out, it was vaccines that were killing people. So again, just like one lie after another. I mean, he's acknowledging a truth that people are dying from the shots. It'll be interesting to see what Mike Lee says about this as we move forward. I'm sure they will have false narratives and storylines. But at the end of the day, we are pushing through. And I was glad to see Aaron Siri call Elon Musk out on this tweet. He said, Elon, the dose issue is larger than the COVID vaccine. We've gone from 3 injections in 1986 by first birthday to 29 injections during the same period, from under 10% to over 40% of children having chronic health issues, most of them related to immune system dysregulation. Okay, so now we see Aaron Siri pushing them even further. It's not just the COVID shots, it's the shots in general. It's the childhood vaccine schedule in general. It's the shots stupid, right? This is where we're moving. And I tweeted back out, and this is really the bottom line here, and we're going to look at other stories in other areas as well. I'm glad the free market has forced Elon Musk into acknowledging the truth about the millions who have been injured or killed by the shots he promoted. It's another sign that we are breaking through the ruling class propaganda. But as I just mentioned, today, Elon Musk is once again engaging in a limited hangout with major whoppers woven in. And these are designed to deceive. So we need to keep pushing. We need to keep pushing for truth. But this is great news. This is great news. And take this, the backlash now against the shots. And I think it's all of those things together. The fact that uptake of the COVID shots is less than 10%. The fact that the vaccine injured and those who have had loved ones who were killed by the COVID shots refuse to back down. The fact that Pfizer is losing money, BioNTech is losing money, Moderna is losing money. They are shutting down plants. They are shutting down clinical studies. All of these things together are signals to the ruling class that despite their best efforts, the gaslighting, the lying to we the people, the refusal to acknowledge these things, despite all of that, they're not going to get away with it. And that's why you saw Mike Lee tweet out what he tweeted out. And I think that we're going to be moving even further in that direction. This could also be the first step in pinning the COVID shot holocaust on Donald Trump. And I see that as a real possibility, as the revolt against Donald Trump recently from his own base in MAGA, Truth Social. You guys saw the meme that Donald Trump tweeted or posted on Truth Social just a day or two ago of himself as Jesus Christ. It was met with a massive, massive pushback on his own platform, Truth Social, where his own supporters absolutely raged against him. And it was so swift and so violent, the reaction to Donald Trump posing as Jesus Christ, healing a dying patient with a demon floating in the background. It was insane. And Annie has an image of that if you want to pull it up. This was met with such a violently negative reaction on social media by not only his base on Truth Social, but on Twitter and among many of his most stalwart supporters in right-wing news media, that he actually took it down. That's how you know that this was not going to fly. Now, that's a big deal because Donald Trump has had a lock grip on his base. When he said during the campaign, you can take that down now, Annie, when he said during the campaign that I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and they would still support me, that was true. It's Donald Trump, one of the best marketers out there, and really a cult leader in a lot of ways. He engages in a lot of the tactics, techniques, and abuses that cult leaders subject their followers to, and he has done so over the past 10 years. The fact that we're seeing people break out of that, and they're breaking out of that in a more rapid fashion than we've ever seen, is a great sign. Now, I do believe, as you guys know, that Donald Trump is a puppet. So he has some power, but he's not all powerful. And essentially, he's an actor. He is reading a script, and he's one of the best out there. But I do think that the bloom is off the rose. And I've mentioned many times over the past 2 to 3 months that I think that they are going to be exiting Donald Trump, exit stage left, and priming the pump for the new cult leader to emerge. And many are looking at J.D. Vance, the Peter Thiel puppet that was groomed to come in and take over when Donald Trump is exited, whether it's via impeachment or a health issue or he loses his mind. Who knows how they're going to do it? I'm sure it'll be a fabulous show, but they're getting us ready for the next new thing. And we have to be ready to reject the next new thing because JD Vance is just as bad, if not worse, than Donald Trump. But we could be seeing, especially with the COVID narrative changing, that one of the ways that they could take Donald Trump out is to pin millions upon millions of deaths, millions upon millions of injuries, and a Holocaust via COVID shot on him, making him one of the most vile monsters in US history or in global history. And we warned about this, right? People who signed on to these shots once we knew how dangerous they were. The fact that Donald Trump doubles, triples, quadruples down on it endlessly and takes ownership of it, very dangerous, because when the truth finally comes out, it's his shot. Despite the fact that Joe Biden forced it on the American people, Donald Trump has branded the COVID shot as all his. And so if things go sideways on this shot, he's going to be the one carrying the bag, and he's going to be the one who will go down in history as the monster that forced people to take that shot. And this is what 5 Times August had to say about that. He said, I think what we're witnessing with Trump, listen up, is a careful UNIPARTY orchestration of dismantling MAGA and his base. So when the Democrats are back in power, it looks like an organic unfolding of events, the midterms. They have to keep the public thinking that everything happens at the voting booth. It keeps the poors docile and complacent. So come the next election, the conservative turnout will be very low. He predicts the lowest in years, and I agree, due to the continuous falling out with Trump. He doesn't even pretend to try to, I mean, Trump isn't even pretending to try to appease his base. I mean, he's doing one bizarre thing after another, and everything is becoming increasingly bizarre, from waging the most unpopular war in US history and just not caring, to the fake psyops and political stunts, to the posting of himself as Jesus to turn off his Bible-believing base, from telling everyone that the Epstein files are a psyop, a Democratic psyop, and they're not real, and there's no there, which is crazy. Betraying his Maha coalition in a blatant way. He's not even trying. And so this is, I don't disagree with 5 Times August that this is likely orchestrated. And so what is our job? Our job is to continue to reject the reality show, the WWE wrestling. And this is why organization, this is why communication with each other, building up parallel institutions outside of the two-party political paradigm, outside of ruling class institutions, is so incredibly important. This is why organic bottom-up resistance is absolutely crucial. And it's what we have been advocating here on the Shannon Joy Show for 10 years. And we're seeing this happening. Here's another area where the American people are absolutely revolting. And this is against artificial intelligence, the robots, and massive data centers. I want to pull up, Annie, if you can grab the video. This is happening across the country. The headline here, and this is from Zero Hedge, and I have this linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. This is a really important article. The headline, 1/2 of data centers are now reported to be either shuttered. The projects for data centers are reported to be either canceled or postponed. And this is because of a variety of factors. But one of the most important factors, and they go into this piece that, and let me just read from it really quickly so that you guys have an idea of how serious this is. Zero Hedge in 2025 put out a report on AI and the AI arms race with China, how important the data infrastructure was here in the US and blah, yada, yada, yada. They're actually excited about it. This piece that they just pushed out, everyone's panicking. Everyone's panicking because it's not happening. Here's a pull quote. Yet, as one can see in the chart below, after outperforming the AI data center and the TMT AI baskets in 2024 and much of 2025, there's a lot of hype out there about the tech sector, about artificial intelligence, about the data revolution and the robots taking over everything. There is a small subset of people in power that were absolutely thrilled about that and pushing out an enormous amount of hype and propaganda to try to convince the American people that this was inevitable. And so they dumped a ton of money in 2024 and 2025. It appears that that is now providing diminishing returns. And the American people are rejecting this. Unfortunately, they write, with every passing day, the outlook for the US AI revolution looks increasingly more dim. That's because, as Canaccord Genuity and analyst George Giannarcaras, I can't read that name anyway, they write, the American data center boom is hitting a formidable wall of logistical friction. He's referring to the latest outlook by Sightline Climate, which is also reinforced by recent articles from Bloomberg and others that reveal a sobering reality for 2026. Nearly half of the nation's planned 16 gigawatt capacity face cancellation or delay, with only 5 gigawatts currently under construction. And they say this inertia stems from a volatile mix of local permitting hurdles, community resistance, and a desperate reliance on overextended global supply chains for critical components like transformers and helium. So the energy crisis, the spike in oil prices, and also what people are really realizing are astronomical energy requirements to run these data centers, right, are settling in. And all of the experts are saying this just isn't going to happen. But the best part about all of this, and Zero Hedge only, they went into a lot of the logistical hurdles and the tech hurdles and the energy hurdles in this piece. But what was so exciting about this is that I think the larger piece that none of them want to acknowledge is what Canaccord writes is beyond the power-related technicalities. He calls it something that lies a fraught social political reality. And that means the American people are saying, oh, hell no to these data centers. And they're starting to win. This is just one video that I posted out the other day. Annie, if you want to pop that up, let's just watch 20 seconds of it or so. It's getting so bad at local meetings, town board meetings, zoning board meetings, and there are videos now populating all over social media of American people in their own communities saying, you know, get the hell out of here. They are voting out entire board members, like members of boards who did not take the community's concerns seriously and rammed through these data center projects. They're going out and they are having votes of no confidence. They're voting them out. They're even, I mean, this is a great video. They're even like chasing the data center executives, right? So the corporate executives that are coming to these meetings and trying to convince the people that, well, this is inevitable and this is what we're going to do. You know, they're looking for billions of dollars in revenue to, manufacture or build these data centers in people's backyards. And this is just an example of what the people are doing in terms of revolt. Annie, go ahead and run that video. right. So that was, I mean, they literally chased these executives out to their cars, chanted as they were leaving, and basically ran them out of town. And that's happening all over the country. Voters in Festus, Missouri, this is a town of 14,000, removed 4 of 8 city council members after the representatives approved a $6 billion AI data center covering 360 acres without adequate public review. They also filed a lawsuit which alleges the city held illegal private meetings on the project, and a petition to remove the remaining council and mayor is circulating now. So they're going to vote everyone out, every one of them. So this is great. This is great news. And this shows that the American people are not buying the narratives. They're not buying the narratives about lockdowns and the COVID shots. They're not buying the narratives about AI takeover and robots taking over everything and the data centers. They're not buying the narratives about politics, both political parties. We're seeing Donald Trump's own base began to rage against his campaign as he betrays them over and over. And most importantly, as I mentioned, they're not buying the two-party political narrative. And that's a great thing. That is opening up a huge opportunity in this country for truth, a huge opportunity for organization, a huge opportunity to break out of the Democrat-Republican political paradigm and to break through that power sharing fraud that has dominated American politics for the past 60 years and has become more and more corrupted and more obvious over the past 25 years, and even more obvious over the past 6 years post-COVID. This is great news. This means that from outside of the power structures in the US, outside of the institutions, outside of the left and right wing media, outside of the Republican and Democrat Party, we can find each other as Americans. We can fight against corruption. We can begin to demand the truth and seek the truth and demand that they acknowledge the truth. And we can do that from our own corner of the world according to our own unique talents and abilities. You can do it in Missouri. You can do it in California. You can do it in Texas and in Florida. We just have to find each other. And we can do it in New York too. We can do it in New York too. Conceivably one of the most corrupt states in the nation. In terms of electoral politics, unbelievably corrupt. Very difficult to get anything done in New York State. And there's one guy who's been trying to get something done for quite some time. His name is Larry Sharpe. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to welcome Larry Sharpe into the Joy virtual studio. Many of you know Larry. He's been on my show many times over the past 10 years. He's guest hosted my show, the Shannon Joy Show, many times over the past 10 years. I campaigned for him many times over the past 10 years. I joined him on the campaign trail and endorsed him, one of the only candidates, actually the only candidate I think I've ever endorsed in my life. He ran for under the Libertarian Party for governor in New York State, and he's a great friend of the Shannon Joy Show. He is running for governor in New York State, and he wants to do it on the independent line, completely outside of the two-party political system, outside of the Democrat Party, the Republican Party, and he has a plan to do that. When we come back, we're going to welcome Larry into the Joy virtual studio. He's going to tell you about his plan, and we might have a little announcement for all of you towards the end of the show. So make sure you keep it tuned right here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Larry Sharpe, and we're going to get into all of the corruption, the two-party political corruption, and how we can break out of it, even in New York State. And by the way, if we can do it in New York State, we can do it anywhere. So keep it tuned right here. We'll be back in a moment to continue the discussion on the Shannon Joy Show. But I do want to talk about parasites. So as you know, there's been a big medical hack of 2025. Everyone's talking about parasites. In fact, my husband, devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy, was recently talking about parasites as well. It's one of those topics that just has not made its way into the mainstream conversation about why we get sick, right? You go to the doctor and it's either a virus or a bacteria or virus, but you never hear a doctor ever saying, well, maybe it's a parasite, right? So there's a lot of emerging research on this. And one of the best thing that's happened in 2025 was several peer-reviewed studies that identified direct connections between anti-parasitic medications having off-label benefits, fighting a variety of cancers. So this makes a lot of sense. The connection between tumor growth and parasites has been known for years. Now, while currently the CDC remains silent, they have admitted, finally, that millions of Americans are suffering from parasitic infections that often go undetected or undiagnosed. This is why Dr. Peter McCullough, Chief Scientific Officer over at the Wellness Company and the world's most published cardiologist, says, quote, these studies make a clear case to do at least one medical grade parasite cleanse every single year. And the TWC parasite cleanse is the real deal. This is not your mother's cleanse. This is not some supplement. This is an amazing product. It is the Wellness Company's proprietary USA compounded ivermectin plus mebendazole. It is a doctor-prescribed gold standard combination dose, and it's designed to help the body eliminate parasites plus a lot of other incredible benefits. Each bottle contains 90 capsules, and it's enough to complete a 21-day cleanse. So the formula cannot be found at your local pharmacy. There's no equivalent out there. But the Wellness Company removes all of that red tape by making the process fully digital. So all you have to do is fill out a quick intake form. A doctor will review the form, and your medical grade parasite cleanse will arrive to you within a week. So this is a once a year cleanse. It is worth every penny, and it's time for people to get healthy and pay attention to the parasites. So head to twc.health/joy right now. twc.health/joy. That is my landing page. If you use the promo code JOY, that's JOY, they're going to take $60 off your parasite cleanse. Plus, they're going to give you free shipping. That is only at twc.health/joy. That is twc.health/joy. Annie has popped up the QR code in the corner of the screen. You can click on that or just hover your phone over it to go right to my site and enjoy a very special gift for the SJ audience, $60 off plus free shipping on every order when you use the JOY promo code. And by the way, use the JOY promo code every time you shop at TWC. If you're already plugged in, you're already using some of their products, make sure you use that JOY code so they know I sent you. Hey everyone, I am so proud to recommend Shift Gold to this audience as the gold standard for metals purchasing and investing. I couldn't ask for a better partner to help people understand gold and silver and use them as strategic instruments to protect their family's financial future. Peter Schiff's teaching on markets has shaped my understanding of how economies grow and why they collapse. And I've used him as a critical source for my daily broadcast for over 10 years. The Shannon Joy Show audience already knows and loves Peter because he has been such a treasured educator over the years. He is now the preeminent source for rock-solid financial analysis around the world. And this is because he understands the immutable laws of natural markets and his stalwart unwillingness to veer from absolute truths regardless of economic fads and political pressures. Bottom line, he doesn't sell out. And that means a lot to me. I trust Shift Gold, and you can too. Go to shiftgold.com/joy today to get started. You'll find some of the lowest spot prices for gold and silver and critical information on protecting your retirement savings with a gold or silver IRA. That's www.shiftgold.com/joy. Hedge against the chaos with our friends over at Shift Gold. At 123.com/joy. Everything that you're going to need for preparation: generators, solar panels, Faraday products. If you want to disappear and protect yourself from the surveillance state, they have an entire line of amazing Faraday products called dark bags. They're always 10% off at the satellite phone store if you go to sat123.com/joy. That is sat123.com/joy. The satellite phone store has supported the Shannon Joy Show for many years. They are amazing partners, and let's help the companies that help keep the lights on here at the Shannon Joy Show. So if you are in the market for any of their products or services, make sure you use that promo code JOY and go to sat123.com/joy. That's sat123.com/joy. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. In just a minute or two, I'm going to welcome into the Joy virtual studio good friend of the Shannon Joy Show, Larry Sharpe. He is running in New York State for governor of New York State, and he's doing it independently, which I absolutely love. But before I bring Larry in, I do want to say hello to all of you on all of our channels and our chats. Everyone on the live chat on Rumble, I see you guys. Marge Parker on Substack, great comment. We're being surveilled right now through our cell phones, not okay. I see Vinny on Facebook. Maryland forever. Can Congress be impeached? They need to be. And I love what Maryland is saying, not Democrats or Republicans, but all of them, because they're all corrupt. I see Arthur on Substack. Great to see you. Deepwater One on YouTube. Hey, Sharon. Great to see you on YouTube as well. No Say Google. Happy to know you. Larry Sharpe introduced you to me. Amazing. I love that. Deepwater One. The only people allowed to be elected into Congress are the most disgusting, corrupt, lying stooges. I would agree with you, Deepwater. The majority, there are a few, like 1% maybe, that might be able to make it to Washington, D.C. and maintain their soul. This is one of the reasons that I've advocated to people for over 10 years. We've got to do this work from the bottom up, at the local level, at the state level, from the outside in. Washington, D.C. is corrupt, horrifyingly corrupted. And I don't think there's any way they will change themselves or rein themselves in. We are going to have to do it from the outside in. That means that we take control of our local zoning boards, our school boards, our town boards, our village boards, and our state governments, and begin to hold our own politicians accountable. And this is something that I have seen Larry Sharpe try to do here in New York State for many, many years. And without further ado, I do want to invite Larry into the Joy virtual studio. This is the first time you're in my big girl studio, Larry. It is so great to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Happy to be here. And I love the fact that you focus on local so much. You know, that's what I was trying to do. When you and I first started kind of working together in the Libertarian Party, the goal was to localize, localize, localize. That was the entire piece. We were having one city or just, control the entire state, and people weren't getting what they wanted locally. And if you remember in 2018, when I got 2% of the vote, which is all I needed to get ballot access, the Libertarian Party had its own party. And we went from 15 local affiliates to 30 local affiliates out of 62 counties. So we doubled our number of local affiliates. And if you remember, we had 107 local victories. Exactly what you were talking about. School board, city council, mayoral races. We actually got one DA. We had a DA win also. Why does that matter? Because to your point, locally we can start making change, right? And the advantage that people don't know in New York State, it's a fusion voting state, which means you can be in multiple lines. So now let's say I'm in some area that's maybe deep blue and I want to get around the establishment. Well, if I run as a Republican, I'm going to lose this deep blue area, right? Maybe some parts of Rochester as an example. I'm never going to win. But now if I have an independent party as a second line, the people go, oh, that's not the regular Republican. That's a coalition Republican. I can vote for that person and they'll vote for me on the independent line. That's how the coalition gets together to beat the establishment. Same in, say, like Wyoming County, very red county, right? You're going to run as a Democrat, you're going to lose there. Well, okay, run as a Democrat, but also have a coalition line. Now, all of a sudden, you can beat the establishment. And how do I know that was a real thing? Because if you remember in 2020, when Cuomo was our governor, he saw me do that in 2019. He saw me get 107 local victories, and he changed all the ballot access laws, destroyed the party, got rid of it all, and then lied and said, it's because Working Families Party. But Working Families still exist. Working Families still supports him. Working Families is a puppet party for the Democrats.
Right.
The Conservative Party is a puppet party for the Republicans. He got rid of all the actual independent parties. They all went away.
Yeah.
So 2022, I decided to get back in the game.
Let's
Remember, I tried again. I
Let's
did. I was
go.
like, I'm back in the game. I'm making this happen. And the Democrats showed me the first time, then the Republicans sued me off the ballot the second time.
Yeah.
So I guess on certain things, they agree completely, like getting rid of me. So they sued
Mhm.
me off the ballot in 2022. So then in 2024, I'm hoping I can get back on the ballot with RFK Jr., right? If you remember, he was trying to get on the ballot when he was running still in New York State. We were going
Right.
to have that party, right? And then the court said, "Oh no, RFK Jr. can't be on the ballot because of some address thing." They got rid of
Unbelievable.
him. So three
Unbelievable.
times in a row, Democrats the first time, Republicans the second time, the judges the third time. Now we're doing it the fourth time. We're going one more time, and I'm gonna try it again this time. Now I went to the Republicans initially and said, "Hey, I'll run as a Republican. Let me run in your primary. I'll win in your primary.
Right.
Then I'll get my own line, and I'll have two lines, and then we'll beat Kathy Hochul, and we'll change this entire state."
Right.
And every single conservative Republican, every single consultant and leader said, "Larry, that would work."
Hmm.
Okay, no. That's what happened. They went, "That
Well,
would work."
yeah.
No.
Yeah. I've been, Larry, I've been involved in politics in New York State for about 15 years. Started out as a Republican and hit a brick wall every single
Yes.
time we ever tried to do anything meaningful, anytime we ever tried to actually go up against a Democrat candidate and actually win, the
Yep.
party would come in and sabotage. And it really
Every
is
time.
an operation. The Republicans, in my opinion, operate as the loser party. So when
Correct.
I talk about a power sharing operation, and listen up if you're in a red state or a blue state, because again, this gets exported to you. We're seeing this
Yes, it
happening in
does.
in Texas right now. Right now in the U.S. or in New York, it is essentially the Democrats get the power, so they get the governorship, they get either both legislative bodies or one, and maybe the Republicans have a small majority, but for the most part, in everything that happens statewide, the Democrats run things, and then the
Yep.
Republicans pretend to run for things, right?
Correct.
So
Yes.
Republicans come in, they spend a ton of money, they
Yep.
flush it down the toilet,
Yes.
they give it to politicians who don't really want to win or care if
And
they
the
win,
consulting class too. And the
and the
Griffin consulting
consulting
class.
plans, and they box out anyone else
Yes.
who is actually competent, articulate, not corrupt, honest, transparent. And they do it at the county level, they do it at
Yes.
the state level. And so the two parties work together seamlessly. It's disgusting. Now, you're
they
more
sue
involved than I am.
each
Yeah.
other off the ballot. Like they will sue, like a Republican will sue another Republican off the ballot.
Right.
Yes, like not they'll even go that far. They'll sue each
Yeah.
other. Oh no, I'm the corrupt one, so you got to go.
Right.
That's how that
Right.
works.
Right. Now you've seen that. I mean, Larry,
Yep.
you started as libertarian and now you're moving into independent. And this is not an independent party with a platform per se. This is essentially just independent. In New York State, you can register in a variety of different ways. You can register
Yep.
as a Republican, you can register as a Democrat, you can register as working parties, which is like the fake
Democrat light.
opposition to Democrats,
Yep.
right? Or you can register as a conservative, which is the, fake Republican, or they,
Right.
try to challenge Republicans. And these are both, I believe parties designed to protect the two-party system,
Correct.
right?
100%.
People who are disaffected or disenfranchised from the two big parties then become working families or conservative. But again, that dilutes all of their power. And at the end of the day, they just run cover for the D's and the R's.
Yep.
So then there's this crazy little designation in New York. If you don't like any of them and you're like me, because I hate
Mm-hmm.
false choices, you can register as a blank no party.
Yep.
And that's what I am, a blank no party. Now, last I checked, Larry, blank no party is the fastest growing political party in New York State. I don't know. You
It
probably
is.
have a better handle on that,
It
but
is. It is in the
go ahead.
entire country.
Yeah,
The
I love
entire
it.
country, and in New York State, the Democrats are the largest at 47%. The Republicans are the smallest at 23%, and the no party affiliation is the middle at 30%. So there's
Amazing.
actually more. Yes, there's actually more independents than there are Republicans. Republicans have been leaving our state like there's no tomorrow. They're all going to Florida, Texas, whatever the case may be. The Republican Party in New York State is 2 cycles away. I'm not joking, from no longer being able to run statewide candidates. Now that's already happening. If you look in New Mexico right now, there's no Republican candidate for governor. The
What?
state's so blue that you can't find anybody to run. Right. At one point, the lies don't work anymore. Right. The Republican
Mm-hmm.
Party has been lying to us for 5 cycles.
Right.
Republicans have lost 5 times in a row. So now they're coming again. This is our year, which they say every 2 years, 4 years, and it's
Yeah.
a lie. There's
Right.
no way in the world Blakeman's going to win. Impossible. He cannot. He's not even
Right.
trying to. He's not even trying to win. If you go to his website, it is a one-page website. I'm not joking. With no
Such
policies.
a joke. That's
Not just that.
disgusting.
His YouTube page has one video and about 30 followers. I'm not joking. Check it
Unbelievable.
right now. Pull it
Yeah.
up. Has about 30 some odd followers. One page. He's not even trying to win. He doesn't leave Long Island. He's over 70. He's just there to take the loss one more time. He's going to
Right.
fool a bunch of Republicans to give him some money. They're going to throw some money. If you look at what the RNC is doing, the RNC right now at the national level has decided how much money they're going to give out to all the people. How much is
Okay.
Blakeman getting? Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no chance. He cannot win. It's impossible. But he'll
Right.
lie and say he's going to win, as he always do. At one point, people go, I'm not doing this. Why do you think Elise Stefanik dropped out? Why do you think Mike Henry dropped out? These guys drop out because they know they can't win. They can't raise money. They have no chance. Why would they take another loss? There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually the opposite has happened to your exact point. In Nebraska and Utah, the Democratic Party is so broken. They're the loser party to what you were saying in those states. There's no candidate for U.S. Senate for the Democrats in Nebraska. No,
Wow.
they can't field the candidate. No one will do it. Why would you get your butt kicked, get yelled at, screamed at, get punished, have to beg people for money, know you're going to lose? So now you're lying to all your donors, right? So you got to lie to all your donors. You got to get your butt kicked so you can take a loss for the party. All right, if you're Bruce Blakeman, you can do that because he's over 70. It's his last hoorah. Why does he care? But who else will do it? Nobody else will.
Right, right. And it's not necessarily a good thing, as we're seeing in states like Texas and Nebraska. Just because you have a quote unquote red state and a red Republican governor, that does not mean that you have conservative principles, constitutional
Correct.
principles,
Correct.
principles of fiscal responsibility. We're watching, the state of Texas, one of the most left-leaning states in the nation, in terms of COVID lockdowns, the data center explosion, 135 projects in the state of Texas, #1 in the country, and persecution of medical doctors who spoke out against COVID lockdowns were the worst in the state of Texas. So debt and deficit spending, fiscal irresponsibility, corruption, all of the things. It doesn't matter if it's an R. But what they've done is they've successfully divided Americans
Yes.
at the local, state, and federal level to such an extent that they can run away with a piggy bank every single time.
Well, there's
Because
two parts to this I want to add to this that you're talking the
go
reason why
ahead.
this works. The first part is people get to a point where they just don't care anymore. They give up, they
Right.
surrender. And when they do that, then they stop watching. They
Yeah.
think, well, you know what? One of the issues we've had in New York is I've been saying this forever. If you want to make sure our elections are better, we have to have more poll watchers. The problem is people don't want to do it because they go, why bother, Larry? Come on. It's all rigged. I don't want to bother doing it. Well, yeah, but if more people show up, now we have a chance at making some real change. My citizens audit was a good example of that, right? So
Yeah.
the more people who show up, the better chance. And they know that. They're happy when there's voter apathy. They would love everyone to not care, not do anything, not care at all. And that's piece one. But the second piece is we're at a point to where people don't believe there can be change. So a win isn't my life getting better. A win is just the other guy losing.
Right.
So,
Right.
Trump lost. I'm a Democrat. I won. Is my life better? No, it's terrible. But Trump lost, so I won. Or the reverse. Whatever. Blakeman loses, great. Whatever. I'm fine. Or if Hochul loses, great, because I'm a Republican. But the point is, does my life get better? The hope for that's actually gone. And people often tell me, Larry, when is it going to get so bad that it's actual change? And what I say is, it isn't just that. It must be very bad, and there must be some hope. Those two things together is what gets people going. You see from the left and the right. Trump was Make America Great Again, and Obama was Hope and Change. In both cases, it moved people to, this could be the time. This could be the one. And people thought it, and they started to move.
Right.
Then they realize it isn't. And then they go into, well, why bother again? So we need to have not just things are bad, but also some hope. And the piece I want to bring up to you is, to your audience is, once we have this coalition party, now local people can just run without the machine. They can't just
Hmm.
get sued off the ballot. They can't just get pushed away, which means even if they lose, their voice gets heard.
Right.
But
Right.
if they don't, if you get a group of people together and you guys take your coalition party and say, here's our executive committee for our county, you can now decide to endorse the one who's less corrupt,
Hmm.
making people have hope. Wait a minute. So I can actually be transparent and have a shot at winning? Yes, because this party will endorse you. So even if you
Right.
don't want to run a candidate, you can endorse the candidate. So it gives the local people an opportunity to make change. And that's what I'm trying to achieve.
Well, and we had Levi Leatherberry of We
Yep.
the People Party on last week, or maybe it was the week before, where, Levi, I mean, they really understand how corrupt the electoral process is,
Yes.
and also how to clean it up, right? How to
Yes.
make it so that people can, at least at the local and state level, trust the electoral process and break out of those two parties. And it's one of the reasons, I guess we should pivot here. We have about 13 more minutes with you, Larry.
That's it. Oh my God, I need
It's
more.
I think that I think that over the next 7 to 8 weeks, you're going to spend a lot of time here on the Shannon Joy Show, and we're going to have lots and lots of discussions. And I'll even have you guest host my show occasionally if it's something that you would like to do, because as you all know, I announced last week that Larry and I have been chatting. It was after the Levi Leatherberry conversation, because I've largely given up on Republican politics, the conservative party here in New York State, just because I've seen so much. And I've
Yes.
watched them sabotage independence and sabotage my friends who wanted to do good things and sabotage you. And I just washed my hands of the whole thing. Now, I also encourage my audience to get up and get active in their local government so that what happened in New York State doesn't happen to all of you.
Correct.
But if there's one person that could lure me back in with a plan and get me involved in New York politics, it would be you, Larry Sharp, because I know
I do
you.
my best.
I trust you. We've known each other for quite some time. We don't agree on everything politically.
Yep.
Um, but Larry invited me to be his running mate in this pursuit of the governorship of New York State. And we started talking in earnest about 2, 3 weeks ago. And last week I
I've
made the
been bugging you
decision.
for months, though. Tell them the
I
truth. I've
know.
been bugging you for months.
I know. Forgive me. I know I've been stiff arming you for months. I'm like, no,
Yes.
this can't work. This can't happen. And I just didn't want to get involved again. But for whatever reason, it was after that discussion with Levi. And I've been thinking a lot about what we can do in our own corner of the world. And then I had a conversation with you the week before last. You asked me to join you on the ticket as lieutenant governor and help you to raise money and awareness to build a coalition outside of the two-party political paradigm here in New York State. Build an organization. Regardless of what happens with the election this fall, you have a
Mm-hmm.
plan for that, but you laid out your
Yep.
plan to me. And the plan that you laid out made so much sense. And so I guess we can announce this today together, Larry. Do you want to do it or do you want me to do it?
It is sharp joy for the future. That is what it is. Yes, yes, and yes. Very happy that you said yes. Absolutely works.
Yeah.
I've been bugging you for years to work together. I've been asking you for months to come on board. You finally did it. Yes, I am persistent. That
Yes,
is
you are.
true. I am persistent. Yes, I
You are
am.
very persistent.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And it finally paid off. So I am excited that to have you on board. This is a real coalition party. All the people who are anti-establishment can actually come on board here. And of course, we're going to have a general platform, of course, which is going to be anti-corruption,
Yep.
obviously, right? It's
Yep.
going to be freedom and liberty, obviously, right? Of course, that's going to be the case. But I want local people to have things locally. That's the issue, right? Brooklyn is not, Auburn, right? And
Right.
Auburn is not going to be, Batavia. They're different places, and I'm okay with that. Let them be. Rochester is not Binghamton. Let them be as they want to be, and let local people have some control of their school boards, of their local towns, of all their issues and concerns. And we can make that happen when we have an actual independent party. I know this because when we had Libertarian Party in 2019, I had Democrats, Republicans coming to me all the time. Larry, what about this? Can we do that? And look, did it all of a sudden make New York great? No. But did it make these people have to now give us something? They have to listen to us. Yes.
Right.
And as you know, Shen, the only way that stuff gets done in politics is through leverage. That's
Right.
it. If you've got leverage, they will do. Now, I know this already. I polled about 8% across this state already,
Okay.
right? If I do nothing, it's just me, I poll at 8%.
Yeah.
But if I have someone like you on board and we start doing a heavy campaign, we'll poll 10, 20, 10, 15%. Who knows? Now, what does that mean? So we understand this. If you're an independent and you poll at X amount, generally speaking, you get about half at the actual voting booth, right? So if you poll at 10%, you get 5, right? General rule. I already poll at 8. So right now I would get 4, right? If I did it right now, nothing changes, right? Just me, nothing changes. You only need 2% to have a party.
Right.
So already I'm going to have a party, right? That's already. Not just that. Because you and I will be the only independents on the ticket, we get all the go to hell votes.
Right.
We get all the votes of people go, I don't want to do it. And in New York State, that's about 250,000 people every single cycle.
Right.
So that's 250,000 votes just because we're not them, plus people who love you, plus people who love me. That could be 400,000 or 500,000 votes right there. We are guaranteed a political party. Now, that's the most important piece. But I want to go further. The last time an independent won as a governor, it was Jesse Ventura in Minnesota.
Okay.
Now, what happens? I told you that when you get about 10, 15% in the polling, you actually only get about half of that at the actual election booth. But there's a tipping point, and we found that with him. It's around 25, 30%. When you poll at that number, the electorate goes, wait a minute. They could actually win. Shannon could be lieutenant governor.
Right.
And when that happens and people say, if Shannon's lieutenant governor, do you understand what she'll do? She will take all the things she wants and she will take lieutenant governor office and she will push this like there's no tomorrow. Right. She will grab a couple of things like a dog on a bone and she will grab it and she will make it happen. That's I know they know you. That will happen. And they'll go, wait a minute. Now we can vote. So now that 30% is really 30.
Right.
And in a three-way race, about 35 to 40% is an actual win. Now, I know this because, again, I run before. About 30% of the people who vote for me are registered Democrats. About 30% are registered independents, and about 40% are registered Republicans. Okay. So we split it almost 1/3. So we take from Hochul and we take from Blakeman. So if we get to 30%, this is winnable. Now, I know it's a big leap. I know that. But let's say it isn't. And we can't win this outright, which is okay. If we're able to actually pull 10%, 10% decides at least 1/3 of all the local races in this state.
It's absolutely true. Yeah.
Which means that now all these local people who are just corrupt and can't do anything have to come to us and go, okay, how do I get your vote? And Shannon goes, you get my vote? You absolutely can. You got to tell me you won't do X, you won't do Y, you won't do Z, and I want it in writing.
Right.
Because by the way, everyone, Shannon made sure I had everything in writing before she said yes.
Well, yeah.
She made sure I did.
And I've said no to just about I've said no to everyone. I mean, I will not endorse, especially the Republican Party. And you know that what you're explaining here and what you're talking about is coalition building.
Yes.
It is bottom up organization.
Yes.
It is building up of an infrastructure of a group of people who share certain values. In this case, we're really focusing, and what I loved about what you presented to me, we're looking at anti-corruption. We're looking at going in and cleaning things out, making sure that conflicts of interest don't exist, making sure that things are more transparent, like just being a bulldozer in that sense. But even if we are, don't win the election, there is so much there then to build on.
I got to add one more piece, Shannon, that your audience may not know, which is how election law works in New York State. Election law doesn't say that that the Democrats, Republicans run the Board of Elections. It simply says the top two parties from the elections of governor and president.
Right.
So if we come in second, Democrats and us control the Board of Elections.
that'd be hilarious.
That's how it works. That's the issue.
Hilarious. Okay.
Right. So that would change everything, which means the average person would be able to be part of the Board of Elections again. Right? We could actually gain some transparency. You and I both know this. Your audience may or may not. There's only one way that we will ever trust our institutions again. Only one way. And that is if they give us, insane total transparency for years. If they give us total transparency for years, we might trust them again. It's possible. That's the only way it works. Well, I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. Let's go. Let's do radical transparency for years. Let's do
Right.
that. And
I
let's
love
get
it.
people to trust
Well,
institutions again.
and listen, Larry, I don't even think people should trust me or you, frankly. I am a verify, then trust, then
Yep.
verify, then trust again. Like you'll know
Yep.
me by my fruits. You'll know Larry by
Yes.
his fruits. When,
Yes.
I am the type of person to give people a shot and then I watch what they do. And
Yep.
I'm really quick to withdraw my support or my platform if they veer. And I want all of you guys to do that as well. That is the way a citizenry is supposed to
Yes.
operate. That's the way the voter is supposed to address these elections, not out of fear that the other guy is going to
Correct.
win, or not out of fear that a different party is going to come into power, but where you can really assess what have they done, and have they earned my vote. And that's something, I mean, it would be amazing if that were the case again. And I understand, for those of you who are watching, I understand how difficult politics is
Yes.
and how dirty it can be. And it's one of the reasons that I've never run for anything, because honestly, the Democrat Republican parties are frankly just too corrupt. And they didn't want
Yes.
me and I didn't want them. There was no path there. But what you're doing and what you're building, Larry, is something that I've watched over many, many years. Is why I felt comfortable. I've always liked you. I've always known you. I think you are an
Yep.
honest broker. You're transparent, and it's your diligence and your refusal to give up over and over and over. And you've
Yes.
been building little by little by little, and I've been keeping an eye on that. That is something that I can get behind. And for those of you who are asking about the role of the lieutenant governor, it is. I see you, P. Vecchio. It's similar to vice president. It is next in line and not a ton of responsibility, but I've talked to you, Larry. I know exactly what I
Yes.
want to do as lieutenant governor. I want to build the most powerful and comprehensive set of medical freedom legislation in the country. I want to go in and set the American people free. I want them to be free to decide what happens at the pediatrician's office or the doctor's office with the protocols. I want to remove the revolving door between pharmaceutical companies and politicians, all of those things, a comprehensive set of legislation. And I would work my tail off for something like that. And if that's the only thing that we got out of it, then I would be absolutely satisfied. Larry, what is the path for us? Because the path is difficult. I mean, we have a
It is.
huge hurdle
The
in the
hurdle
next
is
7 to 8
getting on the
weeks.
ballot. That's
Yes.
the getting on the
So,
ballot. We start today, actually, by the way. Those you want to help out, you can head over to LarrySharp.com. That is Sharp with an E. The E stands for elated that Shannon is with me. So that's
ah,
what the E stands for. So yeah, so go over to LarrySharp.com and you can see on the front page, just scroll a little bit, it says petition. You can download the petition if you want to, copy it as much as you want. You just have to get registered New York State voters to sign. That's it. Registered New York State voters to sign. There is an address to mail it to. Grab them, get signatures, and mail them in. We need
okay.
45,000 signatures in the next 5 weeks. So the more you can get, the better. We're going to have people out there petitioning. Please
Mhm.
grab as many as you can and mail them in. That's the campaign address is right there. It's in New York City. It's the campaign address. Send it
Okay.
over there. We're going to grab them all. We're going to take them to Albany and we're going to put them all in. And once we get up 45,000, Shannon and I will be on the ballot. Once we're on the ballot, watch things happen.
Oh
A
my
lot's
gosh.
going to happen. The number one thing is getting us on the ballot. They fight us. It is legal issues. But guys, if you know people, do
Yeah.
that. If you donate, please. Guys, if those of you want to donate, this is going to go to ballot access.
Yeah.
Please donate to the best of your ability. LarrySharp.com. The maximum you can donate is 9,000. Some of you are going, oh my God, I wanted to give Shannon 10,000. I know you did, but don't do that because you'll get in trouble. So
Right.
just give 9,000. That's
You're
it.
so
Do
funny.
9,000. We can start
Okay.
moving things forward or to be forward. Shannon and I are going to apply for matching funds again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they tried to stop Blakeman, but all the rules are completely bad. I have good lawyers. I've been in court multiple times in New York State, like 8, 9 times already. So I get this. We're going to apply again for matching funds. And what does that
Okay.
mean? That means if you are in New York State and you give anywhere between $5 and $250, it can be matched 6 to 1 from New York State. So you
Oh,
give
wow.
$5, it's
Okay.
$30. You give $200, it's $1,200. But that's only for New York State residents. If you are not a New York State resident, you may still give, but it won't be matched.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. So we can raise money from outside of New York State.
Absolutely.
And so you're inviting everyone who is watching today to go to your website,
Yep.
download the petition. You
Yep.
can you can take it around to your friends and family. All they
Yes.
have to be is registered New York State voters. You can be
Correct.
a conservative, a Democrat, a Republican, working party, does not matter.
Doesn't
If
matter.
they've signed another petition, can they sign our petition?
Absolutely. They can only,
Okay.
the only thing is if they happen to sign another governor petitioner for the main race. Even if they sign
Okay.
in the past, doesn't matter. So no, anyone can
Okay.
sign. Don't worry. There's no one else independent who's actually running who's getting signatures. So don't worry about it.
Okay.
You can sign it. Anyone can.
Okay.
Yes.
And there are instructions on the website. Give them that
Yes.
website again, Larry. And you can also donate on the
LarrySharp.com.
website as well. Okay.
Yep.
LarrySharp.com with an E,
Yep.
LarrySharp.com. And again, as I mentioned, guys, we're going to be giving you a lot more information in future shows. There's going to be a lot more organization. I'll certainly do some things right here in Western New York. I will go out and petition myself. We can get some volunteers to go out to high population areas and grab some of those petitions. But I think the big deal is going to be for you guys to go in, at the very least, download the petition and start talking to your friends and family about this. It's
Yes.
something, this is something that, well, first of all, I think that the Republicans and especially the Republicans, are going to pee their pants. They're just going to be so
Yes.
mad. They're going to be so mad
Yes.
about this. I mean, they're going to have to battle us now for at least 5 or 6 weeks. And then if we get
Correct.
on the petition, they're going to have to, dump a ton of resources to, take us out. And, I just think it's going to be great. I want to meet all of you. I want to get out there again. I want to have these conversations. I want to talk in more detail with you about what anti-corruption means, right?
Yes.
What does it mean to govern constitutionally first, liberty
Yes.
first, freedom first? What does it mean to govern outside of the two-party political paradigm? What does that mean for people? I think those are really interesting philosophical conversations that we can have over the next 5 weeks. And I'm looking forward to this audience getting to know you better, Larry. And I'm looking forward to getting involved. I tell
Yes.
people every day, get out there, go to the meetings, run for something, do something, damn it. I
Yep.
do it all the time, right? And what kind of show host would I be if I didn't put my money where my mouth was and get into the game a little bit myself? So this is Strident Conservative. Is there anything out of state people can do in addition to donating money? Larry, great question.
Yes, there are so many things you can do. Number one thing you can do is going to sound crazy is every time you see Shannon or me online, like, comment, share. That does matter. That's
Yeah.
how we get into mainstream media, right?
Right.
So is by getting social media to grow. Anyone you know who has a really cool podcast, like the Joe Rogans of the world, all those things, hey, go on there and say, have you had Shannon Joy on? Have you had Larry Sharp on? Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
By the way, I was already on Joe Rogan once and on Glenn Beck's. If you guys want to check out those interviews, put Joe Rogan, Larry Sharp, Glenn Beck,
Pretty
Larry
cool.
Sharp.
Pretty
You'll
cool.
you'll see my interviews there back in 2018. So
Yeah.
any of those also helps. So of course, and lastly, just tell people we're running. Knowing that we're running is the first step. So they go, Shannon, who's this Shannon Joy? I don't know who she is. Oh my God, that's who she is. There's a lot of people, and I introduce people to you, as you know, as like I said, I do. I said, you know, Shannon Joy, she like dominates Western New York. That's what I say. So yes, I say dominates Western New York. So you should go talk to her. So yes,
I just can't wait for them to roll out my arrest video when I got arrested at the
love
school
that.
board meeting to take me
Yes.
out. Like they're just gonna
Yes.
throw it out there. And man, I wear that arrest like a badge of honor. That is like,
100%.
I mean, so it's gonna be very interesting. You know me. I'm a process gal. I think that the
Yep.
process and the organization and anything that I do is way more important than the outcome. I leave the outcomes to God. He's gonna deliver the victories or the failures. But doing things the right way, trying to do something here in New York State the right way, in a transparent way, in a way that is not corrupt, I think is so important. And I want to explore that. I want to see if we can do it.
I
And so
love
for
it.
me, we've already won. We've already
Yep.
won. I want to have a lot of fun with this. I want to kick up some hornet's nest. I want to make some establishment people angry. I want them to get flustered and frustrated because I want to pursue the truth. And I want to do that
Yep.
doggedly. And I know I can do that with you, Larry. So thank you for inviting me to
Of
join you.
course. I'm
And
happy you came aboard. Thank you.
absolutely. Any last comments? We got to let you go and close out the show. But anything else you want to say to the audience?
Yes. Look, Sharp Joy for the future is the future of New York, but not just New York. Once we make this happen in New York, it will travel everywhere. And that's the key. A lot of states are becoming deeper red or deeper blue. Remember, there's only 7 swing states. That there should be 47 swing states.
Right.
but there's
Right.
only 7.
Yeah.
We can make that happen. We'll start it in New York.
All right. LarrySharp.com. That's LarrySharp with an E.com. Looking forward to working with you, Larry. We're going to have fun.
Right?
All right. We'll see you soon. And I see you, P. Vecchio, on the live chat. Ron Paul got famous in the comments sections. Tag Larry and Shannon in the comments sections everywhere. That's a great idea, P. Vecchio. I love that. And thank you so much for the donation. New York State used to be the breadbasket of America. We should be feeding New Yorkers from New York with healthy New York food. Government destroyed it. They destroyed walkable neighborhoods and they helped and healthy lifestyles. I don't disagree with you, P. Vecchio. Let's take back our state, right? Let's take back our state. Strident conservative, David Leach. I think the hashtag is going to be sharp joy for the future. So sharp joy, hashtag sharp joy, and then for the future. But we'll get all of that together, David. And hey, I would love to, if you want to do an interview, David Leach has a massive platform, stridentconservative.com. And Larry Sharp says, a new New York is the hashtag. All right, so let's go. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to meet all of you. I am going to travel a little bit. I want to do some campaigning. And so let's go. Why not give it a shot? I want to thank all of you for being with me today on the SJ Show. Thank you to Annie for producing the show. Thank you for Larry for giving me this opportunity. And let's have some fun. Let's see what we can do, what we can rustle up here in New York State. Let's go. All right. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show.